All right, let's start today with a specific kind of exhaustion. I think pretty much everyone listening knows this feeling. It's the work.
The eternal project of you.
Exactly. You've read the books on attachment theory, you've journaled until your hand cramps, maybe you've spent years in therapy tracing everything back to that one thing your dad said in like 1998.
The archaeology of the self. We're all out here with our little shovels.
We are digging. And the promise, right, the whole promise of all that digging is resolution. The deal is, if you find the root, the symptom goes away.
Find the cause, fix the effect.
But what happens when you find the root, you analyze it, you understand it perfectly, and you still feel exactly the same?
It's a really terrifying feeling. It's like you follow the instructions, you built the thing, but it still wobbles. And you just think, what did I miss?
And that is exactly where we're going today. We are looking at a source that I found, frankly, a little destabilizing, but in a really good way. It's an essay called Why Some Things Do Not Resolve.
By the writer and philosopher Pedro Malha.
Right.
It's a fascinating piece. And Malha is the founder of something called the Ghosts Movement.
I love that name, the Ghosts Movement.
It sounds a bit spooky, but it's a nonprofit that's focused on lived experience. So not the clinical labels, but what it actually feels like to be a person.
The ghosts we carry.
Exactly. And our mission today is to explore this pretty radical idea he has, that our whole model for mental health, this idea that understanding equals fixing, might be incomplete.
And what if trying to resolve everything is actually making us feel worse?
It's a big concept, but I think it's going to be a relief for a lot of people to hear.
So let's start with the status quo. Malha calls it the standard model of psychology. We all kind of use it, even if we don't know the name.
Yeah, the standard model is basically the law of cause and effect, but for our emotions.
Okay.
It's this deep belief that our minds are entirely traceable. If you're feeling, say, a spike of anxiety today, it must be because of a specific imprint left by something in your past.
It's the detective approach. There's a crime scene, my anxiety, and I have to find the smoking gun.
Precisely. We see the mind like a machine, like a car engine. If there's a rattling noise, you look for the loose bolt, you tighten it, the noise stops.
And look, it feels comforting, right? It feels like science. And sometimes it works.
Oh, absolutely. Mal is not saying this model is useless. He agrees it works beautifully for things that have a clear structure, a specific, clear trauma and event that happened. You can trace that.
But he talks about a limit, a point where this detective work just stops working.
And that's where the real suffering can begin. Because he points out that not everything we carry is an imprint from an event. Some things just don't fit that cause and effect framework at all.
But how do you know you've hit the limit? I feel like most of us, when we can't find the cause, we just think we're bad detectives.
That's the trap. That is the exact cycle of misery he wants to break.
Okay.
He gives this example that's just painfully relatable. Imagine someone has a totally disproportionate reaction to something small, like a tiny change in their partner's tone of voice.
Or the classic, the unanswered text message.
Yes, let's go with that. The unanswered text.
You send a message, a joke, a question, whatever. 3 hours go by. Nothing. And suddenly, you aren't just annoyed, you're in a state of catastrophe.
Your chest tightens, you feel cold, unsafe.
Yeah.
So the feeling is doom, but the event is just silence. Now, under the standard model, what do you do in that moment?
You start the inquiry, you go, whoa, this is intense. I must have an abandonment wound. What happened? Did my mom ignore me? Did an ex traumatize me? You hunt for a memory that's as big as the feeling.
You're looking for the monster in the closet that justifies how scared you are.
Exactly. But what if you look and there's no monster? What if your childhood was fine? No big T trauma that explains why you feel like the world is ending over a text.
In the current model, if you can't find the cause, you just assume you haven't dug deep enough.
I must have repressed it. I need to work harder.
And this is where Malha says the model turns on the person.
Ah, the self-betrayal.
Yes. We think we're failing at introspection. But Malha's radical idea is this. You aren't failing to find the cause. You're failing to realize this feeling has no cause in the way you understand one.
That's so hard to grasp, though. How can a feeling have no cause? There can't be smoke without a fire.
And this brings us right to the heart of the essay and his whole philosophy, really. He calls it the unformed.
Okay, let's slow down here. The unformed. I think my first thought, and probably for a lot of people, is he just means repressed memories.
No, and he's very, very specific about this. It's not repression.
Okay.
Repression is when something did happen, an event, a trauma. It has a shape, a story, but you pushed it underground.
Right.
The unformed refers to things that never happened,
Hmm.
or more accurately, never took shape to begin with.
Okay, give me an example. How can something not happen in a way that hurts you later?
Okay, think about a basic human need, like mirroring. A little kid, 5 years old, feels a big surge of sadness. They look to their parent to see that feeling reflected back, to have it named.
They need the parent to say, oh, you're so sad right now.
Exactly. They need the outside world to give shape to their inside world. But what if the parent is just blank? Not mean, not abusive, just distracted, depressed, unable to receive the signal.
So it's an absence, a void.
It's an absence. The child's feeling comes up. It just hovers there,
Mm.
and it means nothing. It's never named, never given boundaries. It just stays a raw biological surge.
It stays soft.
That's the word he uses. It stays soft or open. It never becomes a memory you can look back on. It's just a sensitivity that never got a container.
I see. So later, when you try to analyze it, you're looking for a solid thing, a rock, the time Dad yelled. But you're actually dealing with
You're dealing with water.
water.
And this is my favorite analogy in the whole essay. He says, trying to use the standard model on the unformed is like trying to organize water.
Oh, that's
You
good.
could organize books, right? You'd stack them, sort them. That's what therapy does with trauma. It organizes the story.
But you can't stack water.
You can't stack water, and the unformed is fluid. It's this openness inside you. So when you try to fix it by understanding it, you're trying to grab a handful of water, it just slips right through your fingers.
And you're just left feeling wet and confused. That explains that burnout people get from self-help. You feel like you're doing all the work, but you can't get a grip on the thing itself.
No, you can't. And this water, this unformed stuff, it really manifests in our lives.
Yeah.
He uses a phrase that it floored me. Exposure without containment.
Exposure without containment, that sounds incredibly vulnerable.
It is, because these experiences were never defined. They have no edges. They're boundless. And this brings us right back to that text message.
Okay, walk me through it again, but with this new lens.
So if you have a formed trauma,
Mm-hmm.
my ex broke up with me over text. That's a story. It's a book on the shelf.
Yeah.
It has a beginning and an end. It has edges. But the unformed doesn't feel like a story. It feels like a vast open wound, but with no wound. So when that silence from the text hits you, it doesn't just touch a memory. It touches that vast unformed openness inside you.
And because there are no boundaries.
The vibration travels everywhere. It spreads. It's a total system override.
So the reaction feels disproportionate from the outside, but inside it's massive because the structure to hold it is missing.
Exactly. It's like tapping a drum that's 10 miles wide. Even a light tap makes this enormous sound.
That is actually a huge relief to hear. Because we interpret that massive sound as I'm crazy. We think, why am I falling apart over nothing?
Yes. And that's what he calls the misinterpretation. Because we don't have a category for the unformed, we just think we're defective. We compare ourselves to this ideal of a solid person.
We think we should be bulletproof, or at least be able to explain our feelings coherently.
And that leads to what he calls the mimicry of insight.
Oh, I know this one.
We learn to adopt the language of therapy and self-help to sound like we have it figured out.
It's the Instagram therapy speak. I'm feeling activated right now because my attachment style is.
Exactly. We learn to describe the water with very sophisticated language, hoping that if we describe it well enough, it'll turn into ice.
But it doesn't.
It never does.
Yeah.
We sound self-aware, but underneath it all, we feel just as exposed. We're performing wellness.
It's a mask. And Maha says the alternative is we just withdraw entirely.
Right. If every interaction touches that unformed place and feels overwhelming, you just stop engaging. You stay home because it's the only way to not feel that constant exposure.
Okay, this is where the essay gets a bit dark, but it feels really necessary. The cost of trying to force a cure on this, he calls it an application error.
It's an engineering term. You're using the wrong tool for the job. You're taking a hammer to a cloud. And the more you hammer, the more you blame the cloud. This leads to what he calls self-betrayal.
That's a strong phrase.
It means you start to hate the part of you that won't resolve. You treat your own sensitivity as the enemy. Why can't I get over this? Why am I so porous?
You think it's a failure of will. If I just meditated harder.
Right. But Malhai is insistent on this point. The unformed is not a feeling to be processed. It is a structural category.
A structural category. That shifts the blame completely.
It does. It means you aren't doing emotions wrong. It means you are built with certain areas that are like open plan instead of walled off.
Yeah.
It's not a leak in the roof. It's a room that was never built with a roof.
Okay, so if I'm in a room with no roof and it starts to rain, I'm going to get wet. Which leads to the so what question. Because if the takeaway here is you're unphoned and you can't fix it, that's a pretty bleak deep dive.
It would be terrible. Thanks for listening. Good luck out there. No, that's not it. He's not offering a cure. He's offering a shift in
A
relationship.
shift in relationship with yourself.
Yes, he argues the real suffering doesn't come from the sensitivity. It comes from the frantic resistance to it, the need to make it go away, to make it make sense.
So if we stop trying to resolve it,
The pressure comes off. Now, and this is the hard part, the feelings don't just disappear. You will still feel that panic when the tone of voice changes. That openness is still there.
that's the part nobody wants to hear. We all want the fix.
We do. But he offers something else. He says that recognizing the unformed, and I'm quoting here, does not complete them, but it does complete the misunderstanding that they should have been.
Wow. Complete the misunderstanding. Break that down.
It means you stop waiting for the day you'll finally be finished, when you'll be hardened and invulnerable. You accept that some parts of you don't resolve. They just are. And that's not a failure. It's just the terrain.
It changes the goal from fixing to just witnessing.
Yes. Think of the room with no roof. It's the difference between standing there shivering, thinking my house is broken, I'm a failure, versus realizing, oh, this is a courtyard.
This is, of course,
I'm outside. The rain is the same, the temperature is the same, but the panic is gone. You stop fighting the weather.
You might even learn to appreciate the openness.
You might. And you can advocate for it differently. Instead of saying, you're triggering my trauma response, you can just say, hey, I have a place here that has no skin. It's really sensitive. Please be gentle.
It's less clinical. It's more human, more honest.
And that's the liberation he's talking about.
Yeah.
Laying down the burden of becoming this perfect, resolved person we think we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
What if we just stopped?
It's like when you finally put down a really heavy bag, you didn't even realize how much energy you were spending just carrying it.
Exactly. And the bag was full of tools you thought you needed to fix yourself, but you don't. You can just walk.
So, to recap, we started with the standard model, this idea that every feeling has a cause we can fix.
Then we hit the wall where that model fails and introduced the unformed, the parts of us that are water, not books. They never had structure to begin with.
We talked about that painful feeling of exposure without containment and how we torture ourselves trying to organize that water.
And we landed here. The goal isn't to harden the water into ice. The goal is to recognize it's water and stop fighting it. To stop trying to solve your own nature.
It's a real challenge to the entire self-help industry. It says sometimes understanding isn't the final answer. Sometimes acceptance is the only tool we have.
It is, and it's a very brave thing to look at a part of yourself and say, this will never be fixed, and choose to love it anyway. That's a lot harder than buying another workbook.
So here's the thought I want to leave you with today. We treat ourselves like problems to be solved. But what if you aren't a problem? If you just stop trying to resolve your deepest sensitivities, if you quit being the detective at the crime scene of your own life, who would you be? What would you do with all that energy?
That's the real question.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Take care.